Welcome to Cocktail Hour. I'm Andy.
And I'm the Rev.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Orgasms.
Orgasms.
Exactly. If you can hear it tinkling there.
So yours is over ice.
Yeah, I put mine over ice.
We bought a blender today just for the occasion.
Yeah. Doesn't it taste kind of like a chocolate shake?
Mm-hmm. It does. I'm going to be blasted by the time the show's over, though, since I have two.
Well, for those listening, orgasms are also known in mainstream as mudslides. And if you'd like to know how to make them, they are equal parts vodka, Irish cream, coffee liqueur, and milk. You can either serve it over ice or put it in a blender, lots of ice, make it into like a chocolate shake, stick it in a nice tall glass, top it off with some Ready Whip and a giant or two maraschino cherries.
Nothing like an orgasm with a cherry.
Just give us a nice liquored up orgasm, we're good.
Or get her liquored up and then, orgasm.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Or give her an orgasm by liquoring her up. Or licking her up.
Oh, yeah, this is gonna be a wild broadcast.
Excellent.
I am very excited that we're going to talk about a prolific writer in the lesbic fanfic world, because Ali Vali has got to be one of the staples that I always turn to when I first discovered fanfic. Mavis, Advocate, and T. Novin. Mm-hmm. Not to leave out any of the others that I found fascinating. Yep. I kept going back to.
Melissa Good, Kim Pritical, those are the ones that have been around for years and keep putting out good stuff.
Yep, most definitely. So I decided to do a little bit of research. I didn't want to bog us all down in titles. But I went on to the Athenaeum, or the Athenaeum. I usually say the Athenaeum, and it always makes people go, what? So I decided to say the Athenaeum to just get an idea of what she has available just on this one site. Mm-hmm. And I was amazed that there are a lot of stories that have several sequels.
Yeah, absolutely. I did somewhat the same on PDA Fiction, and realized that with the exception of one, or two, actually, I've read them all.
I cannot say that I've read every one of them. Sometimes I'll look at the teaser and say, nah, I'm not in the mood. Mm-hmm. There was a time when I first discovered fan fiction, I was always looking for a specific type of fan fiction. And I would go to that to the exclusion of a lot of other things. So there's still many stories out there that I have yet to read.
Well, when I was taking notes, you can hear my page flipping probably. I did, because I haven't, there's some of these that I haven't read in 2 years. It's been 3 years since I discovered fan fiction. I came onto it through Bad Girls. I think you and I talked about this before.
Yep.
I read really nothing but Bad Girls fan fiction for a year, and once everything worthwhile was exhausted, in my opinion anyway, I did some searching and found Xena fan fiction, and I had always loved Xena, but not seriously. Like we would catch it on a Sunday afternoon and laugh and watch, but and we all caught the subtext there, but really didn't pay much attention to it. And Ali Vali was actually one of the very first authors that I had read, and I read Game, Set, and Match, and I was, like I said, it was just kind of getting into it, and it didn't really appeal to me that much. It was a good story, it was okay, but the grammar and the editing, and that's a quirk of mine.
No.
I know.
Come on.
But that turned me off a bit. It took away from this story for me. And then when I bought my first published book by her, I remember telling my wife that I can't believe that this is the same author.
It's amazing what an editor can do or not do for a story.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think the thing about Ali is that not only does she have so much in the published area, but she also has so much, even more in the fanfic.
Yep.
And they're both good. She does it. She doesn't necessarily stay in one genre inside of lesfic either. She's got mystery, she's got suspense, she's got what was supposed to have been a thriller but didn't quite make it, for me anyway.
Which one are you referring to on that one?
Blue Skies.
Oh, yeah. I was going to save that one for last.
Yeah, and we can talk about that one later. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a blip. It's just a blip on the radar that taken in context with the rest of her work, she's still a good, really good author. Absolutely one of my favorites.
Yep.
But she's great at romance. I love her romance books.
Carly Sound, I think you said, was your favorite.
Absolutely, and the she has a fan fiction version of that you can get. I know you can get it on PDA Fiction, called Play It Again, Sam. And the cool thing about that is, while the basic story is exactly the same, the beginning is different. There are some different scenes, some different takes on certain relationships that made it different enough to be absolutely worth the read for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you liked Carly Sound, you should go and check out Play It Again, Sam. If you've read Play It Again, Sam, spend a couple bucks and pick up Carly Sound, because it's so good.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
It's a good...
Have another drink. I'm a big advocate of folks out there supporting good authors in the community, and always advise them to buy the book or the ebook if they can possibly afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Ali Vali does normally always come through, and I think we'll get more on the times that they have the blip, like Blue Skies, a little bit later. But since we started talking about fan fiction first, did you know that her very first story that she put out on the net was the To Capture a Heart and the sequels? That was the Ramses series.
Oh, really? I didn't know that those were the first ones.
That was the first ones by her own hand. I actually went back and reread quite a few of her stories in the last couple of weeks preparing for the show. And I always read, I'm just like, whether it's fan fiction or lesfic, I always read the beginnings where the author puts their notes.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very interesting.
Do you read the prologues? And I'm not prologues, but dedications, and
Yep.
and I do too. I cannot. Yep. I have to start at the very beginning. You feel more connected to the author that way.
Exactly. Enjoyed the Ramses series just as much as I did the first time I read it, but found it a little bit more lighthearted. I guess maybe it's because of all the fanfic I read since then,
mm-hmm.
and then reread it. And it was cute. I mean, there were some definite ugly spots to it, with some of the characters, the evil characters, and the beginnings of the, oh my goodness, what was the name of, this menopause thing really sucks. The one Hebrew slave.
Yeah.
That Ramses wound up falling in love with, and I cannot think of her name.
Hold on a second. Let me pull it up. And because I know, here it is right here. Let me see if I can grab it. For those of you who enjoy ebooks and are looking for a program to help you out, I'm going to give a plug here, because Caliber is a fantastic program. And you can not only organize and house all of your electronic reading material, regardless of the format. You can use it to view it. Just in case folks are wondering or new to the fan fiction stuff. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
It's a very good software program. I had a conversation tonight with a friend of mine who was thinking about buying an e-reader. And of course, you know me, the Apple whore. I have to say, iPad. But as the conversation progressed, we started talking about get on the bandwagon with ebooks. Now you can use Caliber as a viable alternative until you figure out what e-reader you want. So she said she was going to go download it and give it a shot. And it is. It's a very, very good program. And it is compatible to just about any e-reader, I think, that's out there. Or any
Absolutely.
That's out there.
And any operating system. You can use it Mac, Linux, or Windows.
Nice, yeah.
Are you talking about, Sarah?
Sarah.
Oh, yeah. I should have known that. It's on PDA Fiction. It says right there the Sarah and Ramses trilogy.
Did it? Well, if I didn't have the whole memory loss with the menopause thing, I'm sure my contribution to the podcast would be a little bit more cogent. But,
that's all right. That's what editing is for.
Yeah, well, it depends on how much I edit.
And how many orgasms you have.
Exactly. But some of the bloops are kind of fun to leave in,
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah.
One of the, and I don't remember very much about the Sarah and Ramses trilogy. I read it. It was one of the last of her fanfics that I read. I tend to read things in groups, I'll go through an Ali Vali stage. I went through a Kim Pritical stage not that long ago where I will load up everything I can find and go one to the other. I'm doing, right now I'm working on Susan Meager, which I would like. I'm going to pose this question to the listeners, and maybe she listens and she can just, leave a note on the blog spot or on Facebook. How do you pronounce your last name? Because
Maher.
See, that's what our friend Levy says, and I'm like, no, it's Meager. What are you talking about?
No, I met her at the con, and it was such a thrill. It was almost like going and meeting the president. It's
you got to start getting me autographs.
Yeah. Well, her and Blaine Cooper.
Oh.
I met Blaine Cooper, and I'm going to say, and I don't know if I'm going to leave this in with editing, but if I do, Blaine Cooper is hot.
I had written Blaine Cooper, I sent her a message through Facebook, and I told her that I thought she was a goddess.
She is a goddess, and she's very gracious. I had a chance to talk to her very, very, very little. Trust me, it was not as much as I wanted to. But we wound up sitting in the same room with a panel. And I think it was the erotica panel, and she was sitting behind me.
Color me shocked.
Yeah, right? Yeah, smart ass. Anyway, so at first when I came in, I sat next to the last row. She was in the last row, and I realized I sat in front of her. How rude. So I moved over so she could see, and the folks on the panel decided to ask the audience, or the moderator of the panel decided to ask the audience to give them new, refreshing suggestions for the vulva area. And it was really funny. They start at the front of the room on the far right, and everybody's giving their contributions. And then the moderator turns and looks at our side of the room. And the first one she looks at is Blaine. And Blaine's sitting back there, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. No. And I'm looking at Blaine, and I'm laughing, and I'm thinking, like in that split second, I'm like, oh shit, they're going to ask me next. But fortunately for me, maybe because I was looking at Blaine, and she was all embarrassed and red in the face, but the moderator passed over me and went to the next row. I was so happy, and then Blaine looks at me, and I look at her, and she goes, how did you get out of that? I'm like, I don't know, lucky. But it was funny.
This is the one that I always wanted to read. Okay, and I challenged a friend of mine who was writing a Bad Girls fanfic that I was betaing to work it into a story. She refuses. I'm going to throw the challenge out. Authors, make me proud. I want to see bearded clam in a love scene, okay?
Big clam.
The more serious, the better. Like, I was looking for like a Nikki knelt down and gazed into Helen's beautiful bearded clam. You know, something like that, you know? You could do it. Somebody can do it. I want to see it, and then when it gets used and published, I would like an acknowledgement.
Yeah, the bearded clam came to you.
Courtesy of the Rev. That would be awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no. Hair issues. I can't do the bearded clam. Mm-mm.
Well, it's just a term.
I'm just saying. It evokes woolly hair nightmares. No.
I wonder if would you have to just shave one side though, and then lay on the other side? Do you know what I mean?
We have to do a little tomahawk. I mean, what a little mohawk.
No, just on one side.
No, I got that. I was trying to push you into the mohawk idea.
Don't push into me.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Lordy. Okay, so
I'm almost done with my first orgasm.
All right, let's see. The fanfic I finished today was A Rock for Remembrance and its sequel, which I call The Lowe Family Chronicles.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good.
You know, I enjoyed that one.
I mean, it was nice to have a Jewish character and a non-Jewish character, because I don't know. It just struck me as kind of cool.
Yeah, you don't really see that very much. You know, I think that she does try to bring some type of cultural awareness, but not like beat you over the head with it or anything like that. But you know, to have some diversity in her stories. Mm-hmm. But I did enjoy that. I had she comes up with some very interesting names. Like Poppy and Jolly and Kiki. Kiki bothered me. I mean,
Kiki bothered me. You know what bothered me worse?
What?
Was Princess Bebo.
Yeah, I started this, for those of you who don't know, is from the Amazonia series, which all in all was I enjoyed it very much. I started reading it twice and put it down because I could not get past Princess Bebo the first time, and then the second time it was just okay. No, I'm not going to do it. But the third time I picked it up, I got into it and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good one.
Well, I kept seeing Bobo. When I first started reading it, I was like, Princess Bobo, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I had to consciously stop and make myself say Bebo, like in my head 10 times before I would stop laughing every time I saw the name and think Bobo.
You know, I think that's when you just do like that mental substitution. You know, just start calling her something completely different in your head. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed that one. I think I see quite a few people online asking about the Harry and Desi series, which was started in How Do You Mend a Broken Heart, and then the sequel, All It Took Was You. And you know, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that series. I liked the first one, I think, better than the second one, because you know you have all of that emotional buildup, and once the couple's together, you know, it kind of takes away a little bit.
Yes, it does.
And now they, I believe, if my memory serves, also showed up in A Place to Dance, because Desi was an artist, and I believe, if I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will correct me. I believe that Jolly and Mimi in A Place to Dance end up meeting them, which I always find interesting when you have your Xena Gabrielle. I won't say that. When you have your tall dark and your short blonde, and you intermix series. Kim Pritical does this all the time, and you have them meet each other. I always see identical twins talking.
Yeah, right? Well, that's basically what they are. I don't know that I read the Desi and Harry series. I don't know that I may have years ago, but menopause strikes again. I don't, like a mass crusader. I don't recall it.
I recommend that one. That was pretty good. Harry and Desi, had been, I believe that they had been sweethearts, much, much earlier and then separated. Desi has some abusive, I believe, father and husband issues. Harry's a doctor. They're kind of reunited, but then there's some additional drama and crimey type things going on there. So I recommend that one if you're looking for some fanfic. Let's see.
Well,
Waiting in the
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, Waiting in the Wings. I enjoyed. Did you read that one with GW and Piper? That was another Jewish character.
No, I don't think I did.
I think it was G.W. Greenblatt or something along those lines.
Sounds like passing wind. Go ahead.
They meet in Paris and then some things happen.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I think it's. You know what? I think I did. Now that you say Paris,
I believe Piper is. It's been a while since I read it, but I believe that Piper is slated to marry G.W.'s brother.
Yes, I did read it, but that was like back in 2005.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one too. I think one of my favorites is Memories of the Heart. Do you remember that one?
No, I can't say I remember that one.
That one is Briar is a high stress. I think she's a stockbroker or something like that, and she ends up having a heart attack. And I think she's in New York. Meanwhile, in New Orleans, Megan and Vivian have been partnered for a long time, and Vivian is pretty happy. Megan kind of feels like there should be more. And then Vivian dies. Briar in New York needs a heart transplant. Guess whose heart she gets? Vivian's. That's right. Meanwhile, and then after she gets the heart, Memories of the Heart, what do you think happens?
Yes.
She's drawn to New Orleans, but it was a good story and I really enjoyed it. And even though it's predictable, I mean, they're all predictable to some degree. So, there are very few authors that can get away with having their two main characters who have had, sex and fallen in love not be together at the end of the story. I can only think of one who's been able to pull it off repeatedly, and I will be buying her next book. I got paid yesterday. I'll be buying her next book probably tomorrow. And that's J.M. Redman.
One of the things that I've noticed that Ali Vali does is she goes pretty heavy on the sugary, sweet, love, love, love dialogue.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, in the fanfic she does. It's not nearly as bad. Well, I shouldn't say bad. It's not
prevalent.
It's not nearly as prevalent in like the Devil series. It's there, but it's not as mushy and gushy and faunting and spewing all over the place like she does in her fanfic work, and that could be because of the editor.
It could be, but the Kane series is also so different too. I mean, I think I don't know, maybe I didn't really notice it that much. I mean, there are so many other authors that just, sometimes I just can't even get through it. I just skip through it, like, okay, because nobody talks like that. And we've had this conversation before. Mm-hmm. Hold on, I have a cherry in my mouth. Hold on a second.
Woohoo! She's getting some cherry.
It's been many, many years since that's happened. I guess I didn't really notice that so much.
Well, it's like one of my friends. We laugh about how different we are when it comes to romance versus sex. Mm-hmm. We would compete for the same gal. We have the same type of taste. So the litmus test would be, she would go up to the gal that we're both interested in and say lust or love. And if the gal said love, my friend gets her. If it's lust, I get her. So it's kind of tough because I'm not the romance girl. Mm-hmm. So it's a little tough for me to get through a prolific amount of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've noticed that about you. You've got to have a good amount of sex involved in it for it to be more, to be enjoyable to the level that you like. For me, what?
Yeah, but wait.
Uh,
It has to make sense in the story. I don't want somebody to just throw a sex scene in the story to have a sex scene. It has to make sense where it's at, though.
Right. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But for I've read many that had no sex at all. I mean, they were having sex, but you didn't know nothing about anything. I mean, you didn't know who was doing what to anybody. It was just that fade to black kind of sex.
I hate that.
Well, I think Melissa Good, probably one of the most prolific or fanfic authors, I don't think she writes any explicit sex at all. I can't think of any.
It's been a while since I've read Missy Good. I can't tell you.
Yeah, her series go on so long that I can only I think the longest I got was 4 or 5 books in, and I've started reading several of her longer series, but that can be another topic. But I guess with Ali Vali, she writes her characters in a way that almost always, I feel an emotional connection with them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, most definitely.
Most of, but on the other side of that, I think most of her characters are pretty much the same.
But you can say that about several different fanfic writers too.
Absolutely, and I don't want to single her out as the only one. If you look at Kane Casey and you look at Harry Basantes from the Desi and Harry, or you look at Poppy from Carly's Sound, or even Sept from Calling the Dead, they're all essentially the same woman, with the exception of Sept, who has gray hair as opposed to the black hair, but they all have the same morals, even though Kane Casey is on the opposite side of the law as like Sept or just the other folks in there. They're still very loyal, proud, strong, dedicated to family. They all have that, and their partners are the shorter, generally the blonde, more, I don't want to say weak. I don't want to say weak, because they're all strong in a different kind of a way.
Yeah, it's a compliment though to the other character.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where like Kane, Kane is more hot-headed, and Emma balances her out. They all have that. They complement each other perfectly. And again, Ali Vali is definitely not the only person that does this.
No, but can I say though, of Ali Vali's work, I think the Kane series, or the Devil series, for those of you that kind of don't understand we're talking about the same thing, is my favorite by far of what she's done. I really relate to both of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
I feel them when I read them, and I really, really enjoy it. I like the whole mobster thing. And as a matter of fact, I can't think of another fanfic or lesfic writer that's tackled organized crime. I can't remember anybody that has. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's done it, but it just doesn't come to mind.
Yeah. I think, if I remember correct, I mean, Mickey Knight, the J.M. Redmond series, I don't know, organized crime per se. I don't recall. It's been a while. But no, you're absolutely right. Most of the characters that you read about are, professional women, or but definitely not mobsters. And I have to say, Kane Casey's operation has more lesbians in it than I could even imagine. I mean, come on.
It's replete. Lesbians.
And that's great.
And if they're not lesbians, they're lesbian friendly.
Well, they have to be. The boss is.
So.
Yeah.
But they've got some. She's built up some incredibly fascinating good guys, bad guys, how the inner workings of the family is. She even, not to bog the story down, but she even talks about some of the closer bodyguards, if you will, and brings life to them.
Absolutely.
She's really, I got to tell you, she hit her stride, I think, with the Devil series. I really do. Although I heard some talk among the Facebook crew that they're a little pissed off with this last story because they said, well, she didn't like wrap it up in a nice bow at the end because there's got to be a sequel. And I said, which one of the Devil series stories have you read that didn't set it up for a sequel?
And and I want to say something to that. I read the first two. I thought the way that she ended them, you knew it was going to continue, and that's great. But the third one, it kind of pissed me off because it was abrupt. To me, it felt like, okay, I've hit my word limit, I'm done. And that's how I felt. I'll be honest with you, and we've talked about this, I haven't read the next one. I haven't read The Devil Be Damned. And I don't know if I'm going to until the next one comes out because I almost wanted to just give up. I have to agree. I mean, Ali Vali is absolutely one of my favorite authors. I don't know if it's the publisher that's forcing this. I don't know, but I know that the last couple books that have come out from her have been less than stellar, in my opinion. We touched on Blue Skies. There were so many things wrong with Blue Skies that I don't even know. I don't even want to actually get into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't get into it to any degree because when Blue Skies came out, I was very excited, knowing that it was an Ali Vali. I love Harley's Sound. I like second season, Calling the Dead, the Devil series, you name it. I liked it to a lesser or greater degree. So I was like a slobbering fool, couldn't wait to get that credit card whipped out so I could get that book.
Yep.
And I started reading it, and it went from the present to the past, the present to the past, and I'm like, what is this, a Stephen King revisit? I was thinking it the whole time. And I'm like, you know what, this isn't working. I don't know if it was the editor they picked to work with her, but I could not get through it. I think I got a quarter of the way through it, I closed the book, and I said, fuck this.
I think that I would have been a lot happier had I done that. We selected it for, I belong to a small lesbian book club. We selected that as our book. I was really happy because I was like, oh yes, okay, I know that she's working on this. I think that this came out after Calling the Dead, right? Calling the Dead, while I felt like the romance was kind of thrown in, and I think the romance part of that could have been completely left out and the book would have been stronger. But the graphic nature of the book and the themes of it, I really, really liked. Really liked it. Was very excited about Blue Skies, and almost everything about it was predictable, over the top, or just appeared to be inaccurate. Maybe it's because I'm prior military. I don't know. The romance part of it for me was, you have these two people who were lovers who supposedly hate each other now for various reasons. They talk for 15 minutes. Okay, I love you. Let's get back together.
What?
It just,
for real?
Yeah. It was so disappointing that.
It doesn't even sound like Ali Vali. Does she have a ghostwriter? What the hell happened with that?
I don't know. And that's what we all said too, that we just cannot believe that this came from her. And like I said, I don't know what the issues were with the endings on the last two Devil series, or what was going on with Blue Skies. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Publishing companies have their own little
requirements.
Their issues, and I don't know, because I'm not a book publisher. I'm not a bookseller. I'm not an author, but I'm a reader. Right. And as a reader, that somebody that lays out their money for these books, I think it's okay to have a certain level of expectation, and I don't think that it was met.
Oh, that's just sad. But I can only speak for, like I said, reading a quarter of it, and I remember being slightly disgusted when I closed that book and put it on my shelf.
Yeah. That was the general consensus in our group too. But you know what? I know that I'll read The Devil Be Damned, and I'll probably be pissed off at the end. That's what, so I don't know. I might wait until the next one comes out so I can read back to back, see how that goes.
Don't wait. Read this one. It's worth it, really. Yes, it does leave you hanging, just like the other ones did.
Did it leave you hanging worse than the last one?
No. Maybe not as bad as the last one.
Okay.
There still felt like there was some, like she glossed over, and I'm not going to tell you because you haven't read it yet, but it seemed to me like she glossed over a couple of parts that refer to the last book, but I'll let you wait and read it.
Damn it, now I'm going to read it.
But overall, it was very satisfying.
Right.
I have not been disappointed in the Devil series at all.
My wife doesn't read. I don't know if I've told you this, but I think we talked about this before. She doesn't really read. It picked up a bit when we got her an e-reader. The first three of the Casey family books she read and enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that says something.
Yeah.
That, my wife she's one of those people that can read something for 5 or 10 minutes, and then if it hasn't completely grabbed her, she won't go back to it. She'll play Field Runners or, some other game on her iPad. Those grabbed her and held on to her for the entire ride. So if you like to read, if you haven't read Ali Vali before, do it. Absolutely.
Yep. No doubt. You need to read Ali Vali. And if you want, start out with a fanfic.
Absolutely.
Get a taste for her writing and how she expresses herself through words.
I think some of her best stuff is her fan fiction.
Well, I don't know. I really like the Devil series, so I don't know.
Right, but I mean, as far as the romance goes, because that's pretty much what, if you look at her fan fiction, that's what you're getting. She really didn't break off into anything like Cain or Sept or well, I guess that's that. But those kinds of topics didn't come up in her fan fiction so much. So if you're a fan of romance, check out her free stuff on either PDA Fiction or you can find her at the Academy of Bards or the Athenaeum or the Athenaeum.
It must be a southern thing. I don't know.
I'm from Wisconsin. We pronounce whatever the hell we want the way we want it. We have bubblers here. We don't have water fountains, just so you know that too.
You have pop instead of soda?
Some people do. I never got that.
Well, this has been enjoyable. I think we've pretty much covered Ali Vali and a bunch of other people. So who do you want to have for our next show?
Gosh, I don't know. I really like Kim Critical. And she... Yeah, can we? Do you think she'd be all right with us doing her?
I think she'd be all right with us doing her.
So are we gonna do Kim?
Let's do Kim. Well, I've had a really enjoyable time tonight. It's amazing how fast time flies, and I'm looking forward to 2 weeks when we talk about Kim Critical's work. It's nice because we can profile one author who has contributed quite a bit to the fanfic world and then has come into their own and have lesfic novels out for purchase.
Excellent.
So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. And in celebration of that, we're going to have a little red wine. Whether you want to buy it at the store, grab it out of the church. No, just kidding.
I think that's sin. You may have to go to confession.
Yeah, no. Hey, Casey, can I have some of that wine you take home? Yeah, we're going to have a little red wine, and we're going to discuss Kim's work.
One of my faves.
Yep. If you want to get a heads up, ooh, the alcohol's starting to talk. Go to pdafiction.com. You can download in several different formats Kim's work, or you can go to the Academy, or you can go to the Athenaeum, or the Athenaeum as I like to call it, and grab some of her stuff up. I would highly suggest that you help support the author and buy some books and then we'll have a little roundup and talk about it next podcast.
Excellent. Thank you so much for hooking me up with these delicious orgasms. That was nice. I like that little addition. That was a fantastic idea.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure always giving orgasms to women. I love that. And on that note, thank you all for listening, and see you next time.